Good afternoon, Dr. Tharoor. My name's Abhishek Rakeja, and I'm from Bhopal in India, and I'm finally a politics student. I just wanted to take your views on some of the social depredations that the British subjected to us, especially the fact that, there was a very great limitation on free press and, ironically, on democracy, which the Allies were fighting in both the world wars. But what I particularly want to get your views on is the fact that similar depredations, especially socially, occur in India right now. I write editorials for this newspaper, and I've received several death threats over things that I've written, and we obviously saw the cold-blooded murder, if I put it like this, of Gauri Lankesh not too long ago. So aren't there shades of this, of what the British did, in the tyranny of the government of India at the moment and the way that they've handled this entire situation?
I'm not sure I caught every word. The acoustics aren't terribly brilliant. But you wanted me to speak about particularly freedom of the press. Is that the point? Have I missed the example?
Yes. So the freedom of the press and the sort of social depredations that the
Did you
government.
say social applications?
The social deprivation of Indians that the government of India has been subjecting, especially if I was taking examples, the lynching of Indians.
You're referring to today's India and the events that are going on.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a member of the opposition, and I've spoken out very loudly and very vociferously against much of this. There's no question in my mind that they just turned up the volume on your mic as well. Thank you, whoever did that. Sound booth. No, the fact is that we are witnessing some very dangerous tendencies in India. None of which can be directly attributed to the government, other than the fact that the government has created the opportunity for unleashing a number of very, very unhealthy forces in our society, which it either appears to condone or not sufficiently to curb. So obviously the government claims that it's, not behind the so-called cow vigilantism that we have seen in the last couple of years. And they claim that anybody who conducts a mob lynching will be subject to the rule of law. But in practice, practically no one has been convicted for any of these heinous crimes and murders. And to my mind, the frustration we have today is the change in attitude as to what, I'll give you two examples. There's a horrendous story of Muhammad Akhlaq, father of a serving Indian Air Force soldier, who is attacked by a mob outside his house on the grounds that the bag of meat he's carrying is actually beef. The man is beaten to death. The mob bursts into his house, breaks open his door, destroys the door of his fridge and takes out the meat in it and rushes to the police station with it. And instead of being arrested for murder, they're let go while the police send the meat off to the lab to see if it was beef. I mean, is this the country that India is supposed to be about? As it turned out, it wasn't beef, but even if it was, is that grounds to allow a mob to murder an innocent human being? I mean, this is the sort of thing that the atmosphere that has been, that in so many ways has been allowed to prevail in parts of the country under the rule of our present government is something that is completely, I'll use the word foreign to the essence of India. This is not the way we've lived for millennia. I mean, and the last thing I want to see happening to my country is for it to turn into a Hindu Pakistan, with all reference to the Pakistanis here, who have their own battles to fight at home. So the short answer is, if that was your question, then of course I sympathize with you. Gauri Lankesh, one of the last things she did before she was shot was to retweet a tweet of mine in which I had shown a group of Kerala nuns performing an Onam Tiruvonam dance and talked about this is what Kerala's pluralism and secularism is all about. And she had talked about that in her Facebook post, and a couple of hours later she was shot. I mean, I feel her loss very keenly despite never having known her as a person. This is, to my mind, a very, very, very dangerous indication of the kinds of forces that have been unleashed by our government's refusal to take stern action against them.